I posted it for us to talk about to lead in the episode. Because last week we talked a little bit. Hello, actually. Let's start normal. Let's remember who we are and where we came from. It's episode 328. Nope, I got it wrong. 329 of We Were Gamers. I'm here with Michael.
How you doing?
I'm here with JJ.
Hello.
One of the most important jobs we have on this show is investigating and prosecuting the criminals of the food world.
These
JJ.
are their stories.
Dun dun.
There we go.
Hold on. Did it go through?
I
We
heard
heard
like,
half of it.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know why it doesn't go through unless I'm talking.
there's a noise gate thing or something on
Yeah.
Discord, I'm guessing.
But, sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I have no idea. We'll see if it even got recorded thanks to OBS updating and Steam Deck, Stream Deck and OBS not getting along anymore. That's fun. Are you ready for the dog hot, JJ?
I clicked on this picture and I was not.
I think not only would this have fallen under my ill-fated attempt at making a rule, but it also falls under don't do it for the gram and
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there's no way someone made this and is like, yes, this is how I always consume this set of products.
no.
No, it isn't. You did this for a dumb meme picture on the internet.
Yeah. It reminds me of like a terrible version of those street side sandwiches you get in European countries or in New Zealand, where it's just like a circular piece of bread that has been hollowed out, and then they stick whatever condiments you want in there, and then they shove the dog into the bread. I don't even know what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in some places, I think it's just a hot dog, and it's just the way they do it. It reminds me of that, but also in some sort of horror nightmare where everyone's speaking backwards.
I can't tell. Has this picture just been passed around on the internet so many times the JPEG compression is like ruining the image? Or was it taken literally 20 years ago with a camera from 1990?
Get with
Like
someone's flip phone.
your point and shoot, your first point and shoot with 8 megapixels.
Yeah, I mean, like 2 megapixels max, dude. This is like macro block city. I just can't tell if it's.
I like that someone
is
made
it
like
Discord? Is it like that's clearly so many people have like right click saved as this picture that like it just gets crappier every time it gets JPEGified.
I think it's even worse that they didn't try to put condiments on it, like to make it grosser. They just left it uncondimented. If
With
anyone,
like
they didn't-
on the side.
I think they
Yeah.
did this because they were going to attempt to actually eat it, and this is the cleanest way you could possibly do this. And you just dip, you know.
it occurs to me, in case people can't actually Google dog hot and get anything related to something safe search wise.
all one word, yeah. But
It's a hot dog split in half with remnants, not even a full bun, stuffed into the middle of it. It's gross.
yeah, it's the meat part of a hot dog split in half,
Yeah.
and a like torn up sections of bun filling the middle, and
Terrible.
then some ketchup and mustard.
I think this
squirted on
definitely
the side.
falls under no food for the clicks.
100%.
Yeah.
So food crime.
Andy, you'll
crime
get
entirely.
this, and JJ, you'll need to watch the movie, but it reminds me of a gag in Lightyear.
What was the gag? I don't remember.
The sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Terrible. All right. Now that we've convened and recused whoever created this from existence, let's get back into like a normal week, man. Normal week. it's time for like news stuff and catching up on games and all sorts of interesting things. TV. How much TV have we watched and not talked about? Holy cow. It's been a while. So right off the bat, JJ, we used to talk about Overwatch, but Overwatch shut down. Do we have thoughts?
Yeah, R.I.P. Overwatch 1. It's gone forever now.
Technically speaking, there is still Overwatch to play. Starting
Overwatch
tomorrow, starting the day before this pod came out, I guess.
Yeah. Overwatch 2 is out, and the only Overwatch that there is.
Yes.
Now.
Overwatch 2, Broken Promises.
I don't know.
At this point, it's been so long ago that they even showed any of those, like, oh, we're going to do PvE and look all this stuff. And then like every person has left the company since then. Like and the company's been sold. I can't, who knows, man. Will they ever do any of that stuff eventually? Who knows? But all this is a multiplayer replacement for Overwatch now with new people, I think.
Basically a new Overwatch engine with new gated progression for newer players, I guess. If you're an older player, not. But like, it's a good point. You know, it's basically a completely different company making a game they said they'd make. So at this point, what do you hope to expect? I don't know that you can hold them to much of anything.
Yeah, and you know, Blizzard's reputation isn't exactly the best these days. So, you know, I think at least my personal expectations were low. And I see that this is still trying to slide in under there, though.
Well, we'll see. I will wait for review to see if I boot that up. No PvE to start, so my interest level is low.
Yeah, and I mean, it is, I guess, free. I guess that's the other thing, right? You don't have to pay for this one like you did the other one.
Yeah.
You know, which is something. But also, like, this...
It's kind of the minimum these days in terms of getting people into a game, though. I don't think if this was paid, they'd get half the players they had before.
Oh, certainly you're right about that. It's just you could have just made Overwatch 1.5 and just call it Overwatch Season 2 and just do whatever you wanted, right? Like, why did you have to do this as a new game?
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I don't know. Maybe there are good reasons. I'm not a developer, but yeah, at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. Like you said, I don't have interest in multiplayer shooters at this point, so I'm not rushing unless like every person on my friends list starts playing for some reason.
Yeah, I don't think is it only out on PC to start with? I don't think it.
I assume, but I mean, maybe, who knows? It could be digitally available on everything. I have no idea.
Overwatch 2 is. Yeah, it looks like it's out for pretty much everything. So, okay. Maybe people will play it. It is free. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see the way the winds blow, I guess. If they don't have a BR mode, I don't know. I don't know how successful they can be. That's what everybody wants these days. Okay. Other news we haven't talked about. Have you two seen the new PS5 controller? I wanted to talk about it since I've talked about the Scuff controller on here before and the Pro controller that I think, JJ, you have an Xbox Pro controller now?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see PS5, the DualSense Edge?
No, I have not seen this.
Okay. DualSense Edge. I think DualSense is one word. I can pull up a link to put in the chat.
Clicking on this article from PlayStation.com.
There you go. It's a PlayStation manufactured paddle controller. Very interesting little paddles on the back there.
Is this just one? I see.
Yeah, just two sort of triggers there instead of what everybody else has, which are more like buttons. These are more like pulling triggers.
Are these actually mappable? Because they say RB and LB on them.
They are mappable. There are function buttons on the There are also function buttons on the thing, and that helps you map them.
Got
Yes.
But yeah, it's got changeable sticks, the
You
adjustable
can change
trigger
the
length
trigger
thing.
length. Nice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And unlike all the aftermarket ones, the PlayStation's reactive triggers or whatever, that they have going on there, those still work.
Yeah, so you can still use all of the PlayStation
Features.
5
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Interesting. Still not a mouse clicky type one like some of the scuff ones are, but cool that they're doing their own thing. I wonder if it'll hold up to. PlayStation controllers tend to feel cheap, but they hold up forever.
Yeah, for many, many years, I used a PS3 controller with my PC for many, 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 many years. And then that eventually died, and I went to using a PS4 controller, which I had hence only been using with the PS4. And then I got this Xbox Elite one. So I've used PlayStation controllers for lots of years. But I don't have a PS5 right now, so I have no reason to get this.
Michael, I don't. You have a aftermarket branded controller like a Hori, right?
Yeah, but it's Xbox styled, not PlayStation styled. Although my previous one, previous couple were PlayStation.
He had an
Styled
intuition
instead.
on where I was going with this question. I was gonna ask. Now that JJ has switched over to the Xbox Pro controller, it's actually hard for me to go back to the PlayStation style of putting both thumbs down.
Oh, I've never had
okay.
issues with that. That hasn't been that. It was more of like I like the feel of this controller, and I switched back and forth for years when I would play stuff on my 360 and my PS3, going back and forth back then. So I don't find either position to be weird.
It feels strange now, especially now that the Switch is the same as the Xbox.
Oh yeah, like I play. Actually, that's a better. I forgot about the Switch, but yeah, like the Switch is an Xbox style, and I was using previously PlayStation style controllers for a long time. The thing that gets me more with the Switch is the A, B, and X, Y reversal.
Yeah,
from the
that I
Xbox
always have to take some time to like remind myself. No, that's backwards.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess
actually,
you
I
could
wish,
remap it,
like,
but
will the Switch let you do that at the console level though, or is it a game by game thing?
I think it's console level.
I may need to go do that for my Pro controller then, because like does get confusing.
It does. I get that. I was, I don't know. Yeah, there's button mapping at the console level. I found the instructions, and I remember it being a thing because people complained about it.
Okay, I mean,
so
good.
You can do that.
I'm happy that it's there then. I haven't done that, and that's on me.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what other people think. I know that there's a contingent of people out there that are like, only this way or only that way. I think both are fine. I have found my thumb to be more comfortable further up than down. But the PlayStation controller is more shaped to stick your thumbs inward than the Xbox controller is. So you just got the wider wings on it or whatever. But since we're on the topic of PlayStation controllers, I want to talk about a game I finished. I finished a game and it wasn't Champions of the Continent.
I would have been pretty shocked if you had finished a game that's intended for not to be finishable. So,
Did you finish Forza?
No, but you said it correctly. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 comes with a game called Astro's Playroom. I don't know if you've heard of it. It is, I think maybe I've talked about it. It is essentially a extremely fancy tech demo. The game makes you do things like use the adaptive triggers, use the motion controls of the controller, like flipping it up and down, tilting, blowing on it, using the touchpad. and all sorts of stuff. It's a very light adventure game with just sort of collectorama style stuff and very light combat. Like just punching basically most of the time.
So this is a game I think that this is like the included game or something.
It's packed in and installed on your PlayStation 5 before you get it.
The thing that I saw that people really got into with this game is there's some kind of speed running mode.
Yes.
And that was really interesting to some people that I followed for a while.
I haven't tried the speedrun mode, but I will say this is a game that really wrapped the attention of the entire family. Everybody loved watching and playing it. It's very light-hearted, very cute. It has some very cool collectibles, like when the kids or the wife were playing it and I was just sitting and watching and they'd hit a collectible, it'd be like, oh, that's a PlayStation Eye. Oh, that's a PlayStation 1 controller. Oh, that's the, that's a memory card. What's a memory card? Well, you used to stick it into the machine and it would save your games.
Once upon a time.
All sorts of stuff. And the game ends with like a throwback to, was it Ape Escape that had the T-Rex? Ape Escape? The like T-Rex that bit the ground that you were standing on. I'm trying to remember. Anyway, whichever PlayStation game that was, they take the original PlayStation Dino and you have to fight it as the final boss, and then they upgrade it to 4K and you have to do the whole fight again. And I thought that was extremely cute. And there's like I said, there's coins and stuff to collect, and then the kids had a great time taking the coins and taking them to the little pachinko slot machine thing and trying to get more collectibles. I wish more games were this lighthearted and look and played this good, but I know they don't because you have to have a company like Sony funding them.
Right. I think that's the unfortunate takeaway. Also, I believe Japan Studio, the studio that made this, is no longer a going concern, which is sad.
No.
Japan Studio's out of business, huh?
Or Sony decided to make them be so, but yeah.
Huh. Maybe I should look up their old games then? I know they used to... Are you sure it was Japan Studio?
Yes.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. I said the words Ape Escape, didn't I?
I don't know. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was talking about the T-Rex? That would be a Japan Studio game, I believe.
Yeah. So
how would they shut down Japan Studio? Look at this list of games. That can't be true.
It's true. Go on the internet and Google it, man.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to work backwards and I'm going to read you some games of Japan Studio. Are you ready?
Sure.
You don't care, huh?
No, I mean, tell me the stuff I know they're shut down. So you can,
Gravity Rush?
PSP game that was really well liked. Yeah.
Vita game. Yeah, Vita.
Was it a Vita? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ico? Shadow of Colossus?
I think that's the remaster, not the original.
All of them.
Okay.
Last Guardian. Astro's Playroom.
Mm-hmm.
Patapon.
That's a PSP game.
Yeah, that is a PSP game. The Parappa the Rapper re-release. Bloodborne.
Classic for sure. Not the developers of Bloodborne, but
no, the re-release of Bloodborne. Sorry. Patchwork Heroes? Holy cow. How is this possible? Why would you shut
besides that last one there, how many of those are like PS4 forward?
Not a lot.
I think that's your answer there.
They have a lot of PlayStation games. A lot. Ark the Lad.
Mm-hmm.
That Ghost in the Shell game that nobody played. Wow. Yeah, Ape Escape is on the list for sure. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
This is crazy. Wild Arms 2?
Sony published a bunch of the early Wild Arms games, I think. So, yeah. That makes sense.
Alundra 2?
I think the thing here is that,
Oh, that
the studio
game
is gone, but
the game
it's
that
not like Sony doesn't own that stuff anymore.
Tim Rogers just reviewed, Boku no Natsuyasumi.
Boku no Natsuyasumi?
Yeah, that one. That's a Japan software game. Japan studio.
Okay.
This is nuts. Man,
I mean, to be also clear, like, they are a prolific studio that works on tons of stuff, obviously, and they aren't the primary developers of all this stuff. They are of some things, like they made Astro's Playroom, I think, by themselves, but they're often attached to other games that they also work on, right? They're like a help house or development house that does stuff for other developers too, which is not bad or anything. There's tons of those kinds of studios.
Yeah.
But that's just.
So they reorganized them in 2021, this article says, to be focused on making more stuff like Astro's Playroom, downsized significantly, and moved into PlayStation Studios.
Yeah. So they're a small team now that works for under Sony Big or whatever.
Yeah. So they basically got hit by COVID and then acquired.
Well, they had already been acquired. Sony owned them outright from the beginning.
Man.
Or from very long ago anyway, if not the beginning.
So reabsorbed.
Huh.
Yeah, it was just a matter of Sony owns them and had decided to do something else with them internally.
Okay. Well.
But yeah, I mean, by all accounts, that Astro's Playroom game is the best use of all the random PlayStation 5 controller stuff that no one else uses. So if you want to test it out, that's the place.
I might try that speedrun mode after there's still a lot of collectibles to go find, but I found all the main ones. Basically, all the worlds center around a specific PlayStation. So like the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4. The songs are great. The soundtrack is on all the music streaming services, and you should go listen to them.
I love when they do that. That's so good. Dude,
some of the songs are so good, like there's I think a song called just SSD. I'll be your, what is it? I'll be your, I gotta look it up. Astro's Playroom soundtrack. Oh my god, it's so good. I'm your GPU. That's what it's called. That's probably the best.
Okay. Nice.
It's called I'm Your GPU. That's one of the best ones in the thing. The main plaza in the game is called CPU Plaza. So there's a song about that. Cool. Yeah. Pretty good. Some of them are pretty catchy. So if you get a PlayStation 5, don't ignore it.
Video game publishers out there, please put the soundtrack to your game on all the streaming services right when the game releases. That would be rad for me personally. Sometimes I get into a soundtrack and I'm like, oh man, I want to listen to this. And then it's like, no.
Can't find it anywhere.
Yeah,
especially for games where they make you listen to the soundtrack a lot. Like, please, if you're doing levels a lot frequently or like long RPGs, like please put those tracks out.
I know Ghost of Tsushima put their soundtrack out recently. I was gonna say, yeah, I think Sony has done a decent job doing this recently. Like, here's the God of War soundtrack. So
if you want to test your bass, there's a couple of really good songs on that God of War soundtrack.
Okay,
like make sure your subwoofers are calibrated.
We've said that I put way too loud of speakers in my office, so
you want to test your floorboards, then go ahead and crank that one up.
Astro's Playroom was great, and if you get a PlayStation 5, which seem to be much more available these days, do not ignore it. Play it for real. That's what I've gotten up to. JJ?
Hey, remember how I said I was playing Xenoblade Chronicles 3?
Yeah. You finished?
Yeah, I'm still doing that. I think I am pretty close to finishing though. I know I'm in the last chapter. I'm fighting things that could be considered bosses near the end of the game, I suspect.
Okay.
Yeah. I've definitely faced at least one character I've faced before in a showdown type moment.
Oh, I've had that moment in Champions of the Continent finally, where it's like, I left that guy for dead. Now he's back.
Oh, yeah.
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 You know, Xenoblade still is fun. I think I'm ready for it to be done. I have like 90 hours or something over the months here.
It's hard when we're all putting 100 hours into this other game.
Bro, there are so many quests in this game. Like, I think here's what I'll say about Xenoblade 3 anyway. I don't know if Xenoblade 2 and 1 do this. I don't remember as much in 1 either. But in 3, they do a very helpful thing where I think they call them hero quests or something. There's a separate category of quests. And basically, if you get one of those, some of them are like mandatory for the storyline. Like they force you to do it. So great, you're just going to do it anyway. But all those quests, A, have voice acting, and B, are like way more worthwhile and like develop the characters more and are like better, like quality level quests.
Traveler stories. Probably better.
I'm trying to think how. Yeah, it's there's no traveler stories are the analogous thing that COTC has to this concept.
But they're not the same.
Yeah, not quite. But it's not all the way different either. So like there are definitely some parallels there for sure. But that like, hey, the game. But the other thing is some of the normal quests are also good. But some are just garbage. So, it's like busy work, right? And so yeah, so there are those which you can definitely do, complete them if you feel like it, obviously. And there's a lot of quests. But I think like I have settled on, I'm not going to finish everything just because these games are impossible to finish everything in.
I think
I'm going to try and do all those hero ones because they've been fun and achievable.
You should join me in valuing your sanity and just deciding for the future that anything over like 30 hours, no more 100%.
Oh, I mean, I was never planning to 100% it. So this is not I'm putting the truth out into the world that I already knew.
I just don't have it. I mean, like I 100%.
There was never a plan like to do that because again, I played the other Xenoblade games and they're not. I knew what I was getting into.
Sure. I mean, I 100%ed Aiden, but my play time on Aiden is only a day,
Yeah, I mean, that game is easy one. I think that game is under 30 hours to 100%, even if you're not going fast.
Right. That's a reasonable thing to expect a human being to do. But at this point in time, 90 hours in, and you're like, well, I could do another 10 hours of questing for the ultimate weapon that I don't need to beat the game.
Oh, Andrew, no, it'd be so much more than 10. You don't understand these games, man. You don't understand.
Okay.
But like, if I want to get all the like, there's a class in this game that's the equivalent of like a blue magic or a enemy skill kind of thing where you gain skills from the monsters and stuff like that, or the enemies.
Yeah.
But that class is probably the most OP class in the game, but only if you get the good stuff.
Sure.
Am I going to do any of that?
Doing it, right?
Am I going to do any of that? Absolutely not. I will not. No.
Do you have to win the fight to learn it?
Oh yeah, you do, dude.
Oh no!
Come on, get out of here. And it's not. But you don't have to like be hit by the attack or anything like that.
They just have to use it.
No, they don't. Maybe they do. I don't know. You just have to kill the monster that has it.
Oh, okay.
So if you could one shot the monster, I guess good on you. But also like probably the level 10 squirrel is not going to have the skill you want on your level 90 guy or whatever.
Right. You want to go try and fight
the
Omega
level
weapon
99 super boss. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you don't have to steal anything. You just have to win, which may be harder than it sounds, right?
Yeah,
just. But it does give you a reason to fight those enemies, which I know in some of the previous Xenoblade games had sort of no purpose other than being super hard challenges. So it's like, fight the unique, like 80-foot tall gorilla monster that's wandering around in the level 20 area, and you get a sweet skill that you can use on your dude. Okay, cool.
So it's like the hunts in FF12 in the sense that there is like a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah. I think that's a fair comparison. I'm still not going to do it, but if I'm wandering through a zone and I see a guy that's within my level range and I could do it, I'm just gonna be like, all right, I'll just go whip this dude here and get a free skill and move on with my day. But, you know. So, you know, still trudging through that, basically. Definitely still hitting some COTC every now and then, for sure.
How are you guys doing on your dailies?
I'm doing
I
it.
guess, is this the COCC minute? Are we in it?
I mean, only if you want
if we want to jump into it.
2 minutes on the clock. Per person. How are you guys doing on your dailies? I have been making the mistake of leaving them towards the end of the day, and then I fall asleep in bed trying to do my dailies. I have no idea if they're being collected, since I sometimes even forget to accept the quests by the end of the night. But like, if you're trying to keep up with doing all the Nameless Town dailies and all the fight dailies and all the elite fights and like all that stuff, I mean, it's at this point in the game that we are now, it's a good, 35-40 minutes. So
I mean, a lot of those elites you can just skip, you know, unless you really need those specific materials. I would just go ahead and pass right over those.
Even the ones that get you materials for memory shards?
Stuff?
No, I mean, those you want to do every day.
Yeah. Those take like 10 seconds, burst all, everything dies. Like, I don't think even the highest level one doesn't take me more than a round.
That's true, but it's just a matter of time management and just like,
yeah, I mean, you got to walk over. You got to walk over there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was just curious to see if I was the only one like struggling to get my dailies done just because of time crunch.
I usually do them in the morning, which helps. But yeah, I agree. I think the thing that is stressing me now is that now that I hit, what's the name of this town? The Arena Town. Anyway, the Arena Town.
I have not reached it, so I can't help you. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just calling it the Arena Town. I don't remember the name.
Victor's Hollow.
A bunch of the NPCs.
You opened your game.
Oh, I had it open from playing earlier.
Mine closes. So I don't know if it's a limitation of the iPhone and the like standing memory that the thing has, but if I open certain apps, like if I go directly from COTC to my camera, COTC shuts down and I have to reopen it every time.
I think it really doesn't like if your app tries to display on top of it. I don't know if that's a thing on the iPhone where like apps can like bubble up over other ones and like show notifications on top and stuff. Mm-hmm. I know mine doesn't like it when that happens, but my phone is 3 or 4 years old here at this point.
Yeah, mine doesn't have an issue with the play on top, but it does occasionally, if I minimize it to the background, it does occasionally just reset.
Oh, I'm almost guaranteed if I leave it over a certain amount of time, and definitely guaranteed if I open a highly memory intensive app like a camera. So I don't know. That's just me.
I mean, I think you answered your question yourself there. The memory intensive ones.
Yeah, it's just a bummer. I mean, my phone's not that old. It's 3 years? iPhone 11. Whatever.
Yeah. My point is that at this town, there seem to be a bunch of NPCs who have path actions that get you shards, have path actions which get you things which you can use to then get shards.
Which type of shards? Like bronze shards?
Bronze, silver, and there's at least one that has gold.
Yes. So you get coins.
My main thing now is trying to make sure I build up enough of those memory shards and then deciding if I want those weapons at this point. But
I don't have any plan to get those weapons. I
guess you just do the work for the BTs. Is that right, Michael?
Yeah. You're better off getting the BT weapons than the ones in the memory shard shop.
I would like to thank, and then you guys, I'm tapping out. I'm going to use my minute here, or the rest of my minute. I want to thank the whales because I'm getting to play a very delightful game that is, albeit light. I mean, the story I hardly, unless it's the main quest, I've gotten to the point in the Traveler stories that unless it's one of the 5 stars, I don't even pay attention.
Yeah.
it's just busy work. And there's a lot of free game busy work going on in COTC. But at the same time, I love how the whales are funding the game and I get to enjoy something good for free. So thank you.
I'm with you on that. I think
For as long as it lasts. Yeah.
I like the environments. The gameplay is pretty fun. The stories are good when, you're doing the story stuff, the main story stuff anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're all reaching stasis in that game, though. There's not going to be as much to talk about these days.
Oh, I think you still have quite a bit to do, so I'm not too worried about you. There's more for me, but I feel like I'm near the end of the story content. I don't know. I assume Michael already beat it all.
Yeah, so I finished the story content. I finally finished all of my Traveler stories. So at this point, I'm slowly working towards attempting Tikilin in the first cup.
Basically, the beginning of endgame content.
Yeah, there's still a few things beyond that. There are a couple of level 100 NPCs.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, slowing down.
Well, since we're all slowing down a little bit on game time, Michael, it sounds like maybe you squeezed in a little bit of watch time.
Yeah. Well, I will start just by saying a quick farewell to Final Fantasy Record Keeper.
Oh, is it done?
Which,
is it over?
Yep. Turned off the lights and locked the doors last Thursday.
R.I.P.
Man.
Yeah. So
you really
thanks
got
for an
your money's
enjoyable
worth, huh?
7.5 years.
I can't believe
Yeah,
you.
dang.
I remember you starting to play that game and me being like, I don't know if I can get into that. And here I am.
Yep. Only took 8 years.
Here you are playing a different game.
Yeah.
Not that one.
They got me eventually. They just had to change it and say that there were Bravely Default collabs. Which
I was not clear how far you have to get in the story to unlock that Bravely Default collab. Well, I guess we're done with this COTC stuff, so let's leave it.
It's one of the bestower lines. I don't know if it's the one that comes out on Wednesday with the new content or if it's one of the ones already out. But it'll tell you when it drops.
Yeah, true.
Cool. Michael.
Yeah, so we managed to, in our quest to catch up on Marvel, we finished watching Moon Knight, which I think you guys have both finished yourselves.
Is it how about this? You're not alone, man. Just so you know, like, I think everyone has now entered the phase in their lives of, gosh, there's a lot of Marvel to keep up with. You know what I mean?
And I'm getting the distinct impression, that like they're going to do the thing that people were mad about before, where the movies aren't going to do anything with the TV shows, and then it's just going to be separate stuff forever.
If they do,
They're just going to whisper the word MCU, and everyone's going to be like, "Oh, it's cool."
I don't know about that, but I do think I do think they're leading up to either when they, like, Netflix tried to do that Defenders show. It definitely feels like all these recent shows are leading up to a Ken related question of, like, what team are these people all on?
Yeah, it could be.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Michael, I feel
Is this
you.
the West Coast Avengers?
Yes, it 1,000% is the Great Lakes Avengers.
Yeah, there we go.
Don't you know?
How'd you like Moon Knight?
I really enjoyed it.
It's different.
Yeah, it's different. It's definitely more of a like a psychological series than a lot of the typical Marvel fare.
But not in a cheap way.
No, not at all. It's still the same quality that you've come to expect. They just are, branched out into a slightly different genre.
Did you know much about Moon Knight before you tried it out?
I didn't, and I intentionally didn't really look anything up about it either.
DJ, same for you, or did you know more about Moon Knight?
I knew a very little bit, not even as much as I learned watching the show.
Okay. Did you both leave caring more about the character enough to see him again, or were you like, I feel done with that?
No, I think I wanted to see more. You know, I don't know if it garnered enough popularity to get a second season greenlit, but I would watch a second season happily.
Yeah, I'm iffy. I feel like there's a lot of shows out, and I could maybe be convinced to watch something else than a Moon Knight season 2. But
At least
I wouldn't.
It would fall
if
to
there
the
was
bottom
nothing
of your list.
Yeah, I would put it on the list, but I'm not jumping to watch it immediately when it comes out.
Sure. Where does that put you in terms of what you have left now, Michael? Because I know we had this conversation with Ken.
Yeah.
And
two shows.
That means you've finished this and one other since then?
What else? Well, it's easier to tell you what we have left. Miss Marvel and She-Hulk on the TV side, and Multiverse of Madness and Love and Thunder on the movie side.
Okay. JJ, have you watched She-Hulk at all yet?
No, that's also on my list
plan?
of stuff. I mean, again, it's on my list of shows. There's a lot of them at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know what I should say. I should probably just not say anything then. Okay.
I mean, I've heard things both good and bad about that show. So
I didn't have a positive or negative connotation. I was just gonna say one of the tropes they use in the show to give you an idea of what you'd be in for, but I think it doesn't matter. You're either gonna watch it or you're not anyway.
Yeah, I mean, have you seen Ms. Marvel? I know Michael hasn't because he just said so, but have you seen it, Andrew?
No, that fell to the bottom of the geek pile or geek queue or whatever you want to call it. It will be once we finish. Well, She-Hulk and Andor are ongoing, and we're current with those. So we were trying to keep current with as much as we could that was ongoing. So Miss Marvel will probably pick up the slack for one of our half-hour shows when we're done with it. We're rewatching some shows that have ended, like Always Sunny and Letterkenny and a couple other things. And we like to keep a good stable of half-hour and hour mixed shows at the same time. Because often nights there's only like a little bit of time, and then other nights there's longer. This is a boring adult thing where like you have to plan around being like your kids go to bed early, and certain nights like they get home later from soccer, so you have less time after before the wife's bedtime. It's a whole thing in the future. If you're younger than us, just prepare yourselves. Future my people, Michael.
Yeah. Although not as much of a problem for me, as I tend to be the one who falls asleep first.
Do you really? That's funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny right there, I think.
Well, I will say then that,
did you watch
I think I
Miss
said this
Marvel?
before.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we watched it. Yeah. I mean, I think it took a couple episodes for me to get into it. And like, if I had watched the first one and had to make a decision after that, I may not have continued, but I'm glad we kept going.
Oh,
I don't know.
Okay.
It was fine. Was it the best Marvel series I've watched? Definitely not. Was it the worst Marvel series I've watched? Also definitely not. So
I don't want to be unfair to Marvel. And I hope the fans don't take it the wrong way. But the attention to detail is not the same anymore. Across every episode of everything. And I think it started during the unfortunate COVID damage to Falcon and Winter Soldier, where you just sort of have to accept things on their merits a little bit of like the heart of this show is good and therefore it's enjoyable. But sometimes they don't always make as much sense. Maybe I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, I mean, like these are stories about superheroes and stuff. They don't always necessarily make a lot of sense. So I think that part isn't been my issue. The issues I've had with some of the Marvel stuff recently is it's either been too silly or maybe not silly enough, and I don't know which. I feel like sometimes it is way too serious when it should be not, and then other times it is refusing to take itself seriously at all, and it probably should a little more.
Tonally inconsistent.
Yeah, struggling and like to find that happy medium.
Maybe you get whiplash between episodes, stuff like that. So
I think that's what I was trying to get at a little bit more is yes, there's whiplash between some episodes because they're not as carefully honed as they once were in terms of the I don't know, the directorship or whatever, but like Michael hasn't watched Multiverse of Madness yet, and I have some comments about WandaVision versus Multiverse of Madness.
Oh yeah, sure, okay. I know where you're going with that probably.
Yeah, okay.
I think I don't
find that disappointing as much as it's like I have to accept that this was made by Sam Raimi and WandaVision was not, and like this part of the story requires these things and that story required other things because they're separate, but like they want to make you feel like they're all the same, but they're unlike maybe that first Avengers arc, they're not really as tightly wound as they were.
Well, I think the Avengers arc, we have the bonus of having the overarching end story to like put it all in context now, right? Mm-hmm. But at the time, you could see them building towards this Thanos thing, but you didn't really know where it was going, right? It's like, oh, well, they're going to Thanos. What does that mean? Gems. Like, you know, they didn't really have, like, they didn't articulate. If you knew comic stuff, you could guess what was going to happen here. But like in the stories themselves, they didn't really articulate what any of that stuff was about. And, you know, so maybe this is the case where now they're building towards something we don't know about. And
I know what they're building towards. I mean, I can give you one word and you can look it up if you'd like.
Okay, I think I have a guess too, but yeah, go.
Michael, do you
I don't know.
me to?
Michael, do we want it to spoil it?
I'm pretty sure I know as well, so go for it.
Okay, well, tune out if you don't want to know and you don't know. This is your last warning. You get 5 seconds. They're leading to the Kang dynasty storyline.
Yeah, okay.
And that is Kang is attracted to the multiverse stuff.
Gotcha.
So they're leading to that, right? You probably have heard that word thrown around already.
Yes.
And all this multiverse stuff is related to Kang, and it's just that's fine, and none of that is bad or what, you know, like that story is good. Kang Dynasty is one of my favorite comics. I have it on a shelf behind me still, even in the clean out, and that's good. It has nothing to do with the thing that you're talking about, which is tonal, and I think you know what I'm talking about when I'm saying Wanda versus multiverse. Is just light inconsistency with both things we're talking about has led me to feel like I still enjoy watching these things. But I don't feel like I'm like missing something because I haven't seen Miss Marvel yet. You know, I feel like I'll get to it when I get to it. There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
Are we all current on Andor or none of us?
I haven't seen any of it.
We have not seen the most recent one.
Okay.
I think at this point, I'm just going to wait until it's done and we'll start watching it later.
Okay. Michael, quick one sentence thing that I'll ask you. Do you feel like the tone is the same as Rogue One? God, he's thinking so hard.
I think it's building towards it. I don't know. So I think it got there by the end of the third episode. And I think your comment about those first 3 episodes could have just been one long one is spot on.
Yeah. Yeah. try and get through those first 3 as quick as you can, because it's basically a movie that's just too long, so they broke it up. Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be the structure of this series? That it's like little chunks that should have been movies, but they broke them up?
I will say the 4th episode is a nice little neat package that I would have expected to be a normal show's episode.
Okay.
It does not.
It breaks from it.
It does not. No, I mean, it doesn't break entirely from the first 3 episode structure, and it ends on what I would consider to be a normal show's, like, ooh, what's going to happen next time? Because they're ready to do this thing. But, like, it felt like a full story and episode and all that. So,
yeah, it's also the longest one.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's cool. It's also pretty.
Nice.
Am I the only one that hasn't watched Rings of Power?
I haven't seen it.
Oh, Michael, you're alone.
Oh yeah, that has been super enjoyable.
How did you land on that one to be like, this is the one we're gonna get caught up and watch? I mean, because there's a zillion. We've been talking about everything out there that exists.
Yeah, I think we were just both excited to watch it, having heard a lot of good things when the first episodes came out, and just decided, you know what? I think we started it when there were only like 2 episodes anyway, so it was really easy to catch up and be current. And now we're just watching the one a week.
What is their design aesthetic? Did they try to mimic those movies, or did they make their own thing?
I mean, there's a lot that harkens back to the movies. The kind of broad, sweeping vistas and the wide shot cityscapes.
I mean, Andrew, they
Definitely
spent
call
like
them.
$1 billion on this series or something insane. They spent so much money, dude. If it doesn't look like a movie, I would be upset.
Oh, I'm not saying it doesn't look like a movie. I was just curious if they're like, quietly make what Peter Jackson made, please.
There's a lot that feels of a piece with the Peter Jackson movies. So when the characters first get to Numenor, and they're sailing along past the giant sentinel statues, it's very much a Lord of the Rings moment.
Mm-hmm. Little birds flying out of them and everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
But it's good. I mean, it looks great, which on its own is, enough of a draw. But the story is well put together, and I like the cast that they've put together. And one of the storylines I didn't know much about where they were going with the story, but one of the storylines in there I definitely did not expect, and I'm glad it's in there.
Gonna have to put that into the rotation somehow. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
Andrew, you just make the list, man. Throw it on the list, just like me. You start at the top of the list and you just watch whatever the next thing is. All right, that's next. And then you just start going down.
Man, I could do it. I powered through that Strange New Worlds once we got there.
Hey, I mean, it was enjoyable, right? I know you and I both watched that recently. Really good. Loved it. Go listen to that Subspace Transmission.
Yes, it will be out soon. Michael?
Yo.
We really got to get you onto Lower Decks, man.
Yeah, dude, you should watch Lower Decks.
We could talk about that for a second. Holy cow, JJ.
That last episode. Mwah, mwah, mwah. So
I
good.
don't know how they do it week in and week out. Each week where it's just a light week where they're doing Lower Decks stuff and they make side references to things like when the captain floats around the ship in a mask, that is enough on its own. And then they do a whole episode, Michael, where they're like, you know what, we're just gonna go to DS9.
Okay.
And okay, they could just go to DS9, but no, they the first shot of the scene of the first second of this, not quite the first second, but very close to the first thing, is all right, we're gonna recreate the opening, and like they play the music.
They did. They played
And
the
then
music. It was
they have the ship do the move from the opening of that thing, and that's like just keep circling.
Yep. The wormhole opens up, and you're just like, of course. This is what I would. It's like fan service.
Oh,
But
it's 1,000% Star Trek fan service.
It's
Like that's what this is.
Star Trek fan service, but like, it's fan service from like a bunch of fans that got behind the helm and like, we're doing it, guys. Versus
It's
like
very clearly loving fan service, right? They're like, oh my god, we love this dumb weird stuff. Don't you guys love it too? And you're like, yes, we do.
Much more than like studio executives said that it will pull well if we bring back DS9 references. It's more like, we have an unlimited budget and we could just recreate DS9 right now. And we can.
Well, it's like, we don't have to pay for sets or actors or anything. We just have to animate and then pay for voice. So it's like much more doable to bring back random people.
Yep. Kieran Reese, baby.
Quark.
Yeah. Same Quark. Everybody. I love that they had, oh God, what's his name? Just like little things where like I can't remember his name. He's still in the bar drinking. The guy that's always in the bar drinking.
Morn.
Yes, Morn. Thank you very much. I knew it started with an M. And I couldn't get it out of my mouth. It's just Boimler finally pointing out after how many seasons of DS9 that there was no point in anyone in Starfleet playing Domjot. Dabo. And then yelling Domjot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's being like, I have all the, like, Starfleet doesn't even use money. I don't care if I win all this. Yeah. They're like, what?
He's like, you want a free gift card instead of all this money? Yeah, sure. I don't need money. Oh, gosh. What a show. Okay, so we finally all have caught back up on our shows. We're all heading towards stasis on Champions of the Continent. Astro's Playroom's complete. Xenoblade Chronicles almost complete. What a week. Good job, guys.
Go us.
I feel accomplished having listened to all this. Go us, he says. So I'm going to put out there for the people that want to email before we do it. We're going to talk about emulators next week.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
If you got a favorite emulator or emulation-like device, it could be an analog, it could be a RetroTink. It could. I'm gonna dig deep in the well here. I don't really know a lot of them. So
a Mister,
yeah,
your Super NT, your
Raspberry
NT Minis,
Pis that have been modded.
Yeah, sure.
Whatever.
Just install stuff on Raspberry Pis these days. Yeah.
Yeah. Send it over. We'll talk about it. Because while we may have solved some issues last week, I think my brain still needs to wrap its way around what to do with all this equipment. In the meantime, JJ, send the email where?
They can send that to podcast@wewergamers.com. We're podcast@wewergamers.com. Email address. Email us. We're on YouTube. Search for We Were Gamers, all one words. Jam that subscribe and get the little bell. You'll know first right when the pods go up. It's great. We're on social media @We Were Gamers, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Nice.
Yeah. Andy, if you like the Playground game, you need to go play Aperture Desk Job.
I just downloaded it. I thought it was pre-installed on the Steam Deck, and while we were talking about it, you probably saw me sign into Steam. While we were talking about it, I was like, "Oh, Aperture Desk Job would be another one of these types of games. I should be able to talk about that in a little bit so that I can report back." And then I was like, "Where is it? I don't see it on the Steam Deck. It was." I had to add it to my library and download it.
Yeah, that's Steam though. That's just like how Steam does things.
I know, but you'd think that they would have installed it somehow. But I guess because I wasn't signed into a Steam account, that's their limitation, I guess. They just
got to
couldn't
be
do
on.
it?
You got to be on Steam to get it. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess you technically don't have to have a Steam account to run a Steam Deck.
Yeah, I mean it's you don't technically have to sign in, but you probably should be signing in if you're gonna play on the deck.
Oh yeah, unless you're gonna crack it and put other stuff on there, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think it's you even have to crack it. You just have to like do some annoying steps to install other stuff. Like I know it's possible to install Windows. I think it's a hassle, but I think you can do it. It's not like prevented.
No. I don't think you'd get much out of it currently. In a couple of years, probably.
I think the benefit of Windows would be that like you could run the Epic Game Store and other things like that to get games that way. But
I would very much like to be able to install Xbox Game Pass on my Steam Deck, although Xbox may not even want that. I know that they said
I'm pretty sure it's just a PC as far as the software is concerned. So yeah, I think the thing you'll run into is like compatibility stuff. Will it recognize
with those controllers?
That might be troublesome.
Yeah, with the controllers and the back buttons and all that might be pretty hard to get it to recognize at this stage. I am sure there are people working on it, and they are much smarter than me, and I'm just going to let them work.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the like Steam stuff generally works quite well, and if it doesn't, people are working to make it work better. So
yeah.